Disclaimer: each individual's tax situation is different. Please understand your tax situation or talk to your tax advisor before making changes to your form. Before I begin, I want to thank Rommel Fox, CEO of WhoMentors.com, for guiding me on how to make changes to my W-4 form. Hola familia, how's it going? Today I'm going to show you how to legally reduce your tax liability and make changes to your W-4 form to reduce the amount of taxes withheld from your allowances. To prove that you, as a taxpayer, have the legal right to reduce your taxes, we have to take a look at the ruling of Gregory versus Helvery. Based on this case, I, as a taxpayer, have the legal right to decrease the amount of what otherwise would be my taxes or altogether avoid them, by which means the law permits, cannot be doubted. We can also see that in 26 CFR section 31.3402M-1, additional withholding allowance, employees may take into account the estimated tax deductions described in paragraph B of this section. For those who don't know what deductions are, deductions can reduce the amount of your income before you calculate the tax that you owe. Examples of some tax deductions for individuals are work-related deductions, education deductions, healthcare deductions, and itemized deductions. You should itemize deductions if your allowable itemized deductions are greater than your standard deduction, or if you must itemize deductions because you can't use the standard deduction. I will go into more depth about deductions in another video. So, now that we know you have the legal right to reduce your tax liability and that you may take into account the estimated tax deductions for that year, we can now discuss how to reduce your withholding allowance. If you are unfamiliar with the W-4 form, it is an Internal Revenue Service tax form completed by an employee in the United States to indicate his or her tax situation to the employer. It tells the employer the correct amount of tax to withhold from an employee's paycheck. And it looks something like this. To fully understand the changes that I'm going to be mentioning, I'm going to guide you through this simulation found on the IRS website. Here we have Lawrence, who is single and earns $500 a week. In the table, we can see what happens to the amount of taxes withheld when Lawrence enters a 0, 1, or 2 in his withholding allowance. So, how would you describe this relationship? Let's answer this question together. As the number of allowances increases, the amount of federal income tax withheld. If you answered B, you are correct. Now that you understand how to make a change in your withholding, let me show you an example as to how you actually do it using my W-4. Starting with the federal W-4 form, in step 4, part B, enter the amount of deductions that you are expecting to pay. Notice it says to use the worksheet on page 3, so that is what I am going to do. We can also make the changes for the state W-4 form, and here all we have to do is change the regular withholding allowance to 9, as well as the total number of allowances that I am claiming. If you have paychecks like I do, you can make these changes in My Pay, Taxes, and Deductions. Then request HR to approve the changes. On the employer's dashboard, go to the company directory, select the employee, click Employee Overview, scroll down to Taxes, and then click Request Signature. Since I already sent the request, it is disabled, so let's go back to the employee side and then review and sign the document. For state, it is a very similar process. Just change regular withholding to 9. Save it, and then send it to HR. And then let HR take care of the rest. Remember, once you make this change, the idea is to incur tax-deductible expenses, which lowers your taxable income and thus reduces your tax liability. One way to do this is through charitable contributions to a qualified organization that is recognized by the IRS as tax exempt. To find out what organizations are tax exempt, you can go to the IRS website and use their tax exempt organization search tool. One suggestion I have is to join the organization that you like so you can have strong ties and participate in projects and activity that you enjoy. If you are able to prove to the IRS that you are connected with the organization and that the activity you are doing furthers the organization's purposes, your expenses may be tax deductible. An example of this is Smith versus Commissioner, a case where church members went on a trip and were able to deduct their expenses from their taxes. Another thing you can do is create your own organization and contribute 100% of your income to it. This, however, will only last until the end of 2021, and then it will decrease to 60% as stated in the IRS website. Last thing that I want to bring up is that some of you may have noticed that I have a low salary. And the reason being is that my goal is to be a $1 CEO. I will explain this in another video, but all you need to know is that a number of top executives in large businesses and governments have worked for a $1 salary. So, if you want to volunteer with Comida for Familias Incorporated and contribute your funds to do activities in the name of the organization, or if you want to be a CEO of your own nonprofit organization, you can contact me at 1-707-716-9325 or send an email to info@comidaforfamilias.com. Quick reminder, each individual's tax situation is different, so talk to your tax advisor to better understand your situation and how this might apply to you. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.